She saw my wallet and said, "You're just like your daughter." When I looked up, she vanished, 25 years. My hands froze the moment she said it. The cashier's wrinkled face didn't match the weight of her words. "You're just like your daughter." I hadn't spoken that name out loud in 25 years. I looked up, heart pounding, but she was gone, like she never existed. If this moment gave you chills, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more true story style emotional thrillers that'll leave you breathless. No one at the store had seen her, no CCTV footage, nothing. And just like that, the nightmare I buried for decades ripped open again. I had spent all these years pretending she never existed because remembering her meant reliving the worst betrayal of my life. My own daughter, Serafina, had turned her back on me when I needed her the most. She was just 16 when she stood in front of our entire family and called me a failure. My brothers laughed, my sister looked away, and my own wife clapped. That day, they celebrated cutting me out of the business I started, out of the house I built, and out of their lives. What they didn't know was that the very next morning I started something they'd all come to regret. I sold my car, I slept in a basement, I coded 10 hours a day on a broken laptop I found in the trash. No social media, no updates, just silence. For 25 years I vanished from their lives. They thought I was dead, poor, or broken. But now I'm none of those things. And that woman at the counter, she wasn't random, she wasn't lost. She wanted me to hear that line. Because someone, somewhere, had just opened the door to the past. And it's time to walk back in. I went home shaking, not from fear, but from the rage crawling back after all these years. I opened the drawer where I kept a single thing from my old life, the envelope marked "Do Not Forgive." Inside were photos, names, a handwritten note from Serafina, the last thing she ever said to me before slamming the door. Maybe you'll understand what success feels like if you ever earn it. That night I didn't sleep. I watched every shadow, every creak, thinking about that woman. Who was she? How did she know Serafina? And why now, after 25 years? The next morning, I received a message request on my private number. No name, just a photo. It was from a luxury hotel. Standing at the entrance, smiling like nothing ever happened, was Serafina. Older, dressed in designer clothes, holding a champagne glass, next to my brother. The one who laughed hardest when they kicked me out. Under the photo, a message. "Family dinner, tonight, 7 p.m. Don't be late, Daddy." My jaw clenched. They didn't know what I'd built. They still thought I was small, weak, forgotten. But what they didn't know was I own the hotel they're standing in. Every tile beneath their feet was paid for by the empire they never believed I could build. My name was never public. I operated under another identity. That's why no one had put the pieces together. Until now. But this wasn't just dinner. This was a trap. One I was finally ready to walk into. And this time, I wouldn't leave empty-handed. I arrived at the hotel exactly at 7 p.m, dressed like the old me, cheap jacket, dusty shoes, the same wallet they once mocked me for. The valet didn't greet me. The receptionist didn't even look up. Perfect. I wanted to be invisible, just like they remembered me. The elevator doors opened to the private rooftop. Laughter echoed, glasses clinked, and there they were, my entire family. Serafina stood in the middle, her back to me, sipping wine, pretending she didn't notice me walk in. My brother saw me first. His smirk was instant. "Look who's still breathing," he whispered to my sister, who burst out laughing like we were still in some twisted family sitcom. Serafina finally turned. Her smile was poison. "Wow, you really came. Still holding on to that same wallet, huh?" Everyone laughed. I said nothing. The table was covered in gold-trimmed plates, expensive wine and fake smiles. My chair, the only one that wasn't pulled out. I stood, silent, while they took turns throwing jabs, pretending they were jokes. My brother raised his glass. "To Serafina, the real success of the family, unlike some people who disappeared after their dreams failed." I looked at her. She didn't flinch. She enjoyed it. Then she leaned forward. "So tell us, Dad, what have you been up to? Parking cars? Selling insurance? Or just roaming streets with that sad little wallet of yours?" My hand tightened around the wallet, but inside I wasn't broken. I was calm. Focused, because the twist I had planned would flip every word they said back in their faces. But it wasn't time, not yet, not until they made their biggest mistake, which came seconds later when my brother said, "You know what's funny? We actually own this place now." That's when I smiled for the first time. I leaned back slowly and placed the wallet on the table. "You own this place?" I asked, like I didn't already know the answer they expected. My brother nodded, full of pride. "We just closed the deal last week. Serafina's the investor. Her fiancé pulled some strings. It's all ours now." Her fiancé? Interesting. I glanced around the room, spotting a man near the bar, fake confidence written all over his face. He was typing fast on his phone, probably gloating to someone about how they just took over a 5-star rooftop property. I let them enjoy their lie for a few more seconds. Then I stood up. "No, you don't." The room went silent. I pulled a card from my wallet, the one they'd all mocked, and slid it across the table. My sister picked it up, frowning. Then her face turned pale. She passed it to Serafina, and the moment she read the name, her fingers froze. Atlas Empire Holdings, CEO, Elias Gray. They all stared at me like I had grown a second head. My real name to the public was Elias Gray. That was the name behind the silent holding company that owned over 30 properties, including this very hotel. The same company that had just declined their offer to invest. The same company that had just issued an internal memo. Do not sell or transfer ownership of any property under pressure. "Wait," my brother whispered. "That was you?" I nodded. "And the woman at the counter yesterday, she's the oldest employee at this hotel. She recognized my wallet, the one I used when I first opened my first tech cafe down the street, the one you all laughed at." Serafina's eyes were filled with disbelief. "You built all this, alone?" "No, I built it after you destroyed me." But I wasn't done yet. I pulled out a folder and tossed it on the table. "This is a termination notice for unauthorized entry, attempted fraud, and public defamation of the hotel's real owner." My voice dropped cold. "You've got 5 minutes to leave, or I'll have security walk you out." Serafina's chair scraped the floor as she shot up, eyes wide with panic. "You're kicking us out? You think you can just walk back after 25 years and throw us out like garbage?" I stayed silent, letting the weight of her own words hang in the air, because that's exactly what they had done to me. My brother stood too, voice shaking now. "This is a joke, right?" "You're bluffing. This can't be real." I nodded to the side. Security entered instantly. 2 sharp men in black suits, not aggressive, just certain. My sister's glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the marble floor. "We're family," she whispered almost to herself. "You wouldn't humiliate us like this." I turned to her slowly. "You did that, when you clapped as they erased me." Serafina's voice cracked. "But I was just a kid." "No," I interrupted. "You were old enough to know what betrayal was. Old enough to call me a failure in front of strangers. Old enough to choose their side." Her fiancé tried to step forward. "Look, we didn't come here to fight," I cut him off. "And yet you came here lying about owning what I built." He backed away, silent now. One by one they were escorted out. No applause, no hugs, just silence and stunned faces walking past the same lobby they once mocked me for sweeping. As they reached the exit, Serafina turned one last time. Tears in her eyes, regret on her face. But I didn't flinch, because this wasn't revenge, it was justice. And justice doesn't beg for applause, it just ends the story. The right way. The end.